Lacrosse Leadership Community. My name's Ryan Berns. I'm the founder of the Lacrosse Leadership Institute. So excited for another great conversation, this time with an NLL and PLL legend, Dhane Smith. Dhane, we're so excited for you to join us today. Can you please share with our community how you got involved with lacrosse so that the community can get to know you a little bit more?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I'm super excited to be here. So I started off lacrosse when I was 3 years old. I was born and raised in Catharines, Ontario, but I played a majority of my lacrosse in Kitchener, Ontario. Started off at a young age, mostly box lacrosse. Field lacrosse wasn't as big back then. As I kind of grew up a little bit, I remember playing junior A, and being asked to play field lacrosse for Team Ontario. Ended up playing there and started to love it. Long story short, it kind of blossomed from there, and played lacrosse for most of Team Ontario for 3 years. I started loving field lacrosse because obviously at that time hockey kind of started dwindle away because you're either making it or you're not. And unfortunately, I didn't make it that sport, but I'm happy where I am now. And so basically, field lacrosse kind of took over, and I loved it because it was a little bit different than box lacrosse. You kind of get sick of one, and then you get to play the other. And I was fortunate enough to do both. And then as far as college lacrosse went, I had scholarships to a lot of great universities. I ended up choosing not to go and entered the NLL draft early, got free schooling in Canada. So I went to school in Conestoga College, which is a college right in Kitchener, Ontario. And then I entered the draft as a 19-year-old and got picked up as in Buffalo. And then as far as that one, kind of my field lacrosse career kind of got put on hold for a bit. Played for Buffalo for a few seasons. I'm going on my 9th or 10th now, which is crazy. But then in 2016, I got asked to play for the Rochester Rattlers from Tim Sudan. I can't thank him enough. And they brought me in with open arms. I ended up loving it. I thought I was just going to play 1 year just to say I could do it, because not many guys coming out of colleges, or even if you're not D1, you're not really getting looked at to play at that next level. And I wanted to prove to people that you didn't have to go to school to kind of take the next step. So that's what I did. I ended up loving it. So I played 2 or 3 more years in MLL, and then the PLL came into play, and I ended up doing that again, saying, oh, I want to be able to say I could do it, and ended up playing, got picked up by the Chaos, and I've loved it ever since. So now I'm playing for the Bandits and the Chaos, and that's kind of my story full circle.
Yeah, that's so cool. I think so many of us dream about playing lacrosse at that highest level, and you've shown that you can get there many different ways. And ultimately, that's why we started the Lacrosse Leadership Institute, is to show all those that love lacrosse that the skills you get from the sport can ultimately allow you to live your best life possible and follow your dreams. Can you share with the community what your pinnacle lacrosse moments have been so far?
So again, I would have to say, honestly, making an MLL team and sticking around, and then PLL as well. Those are big 2 things, because I wasn't familiar with the field lacrosse game. I know lacrosse is the same whether you play box or field, but they are a little bit different in the sense where it's a little bit slower at field lacrosse, but they've definitely sped it up, and I love that for it. But probably one of my highlights was in 2015. I ended up making Team Canada for indoor worlds, and that was a true honor to play for your country. But the most important thing to me was I was the youngest guy on the team, and I remember getting picked up from that team. Had no chance, didn't think I was going to make the team, or even get like a sniff, and I ended up making it. I remember the first ever game that we had, we played Team Iroquois, and I ended up being a healthy scratch, which I understood. There were so many great players. Everybody was the best around, obviously. And I understood I was the youngest guy, and it was probably the easiest decision. And I knew I had to kind of take that next step and show them that I could be there. And as the tournament went on, I ended up playing in the finals and the semis and all that stuff, which was even bigger than the first game. I didn't really care. I kind of put it behind me. So that was probably my biggest achievement. I ended up playing in Worlds again for indoor in 2019, and we won a championship both years. So that was pretty cool. But going off that is making that team in 2015, it kind of made my confidence go really high. as in I always knew I was a good player, but it kind of took me to the next level, them believing in me. And I ended up having a breakout season for the Bandits in 2016 and breaking a lot of records, which was really cool. And I've done a lot of things throughout my career, and I'm hoping to kind of win the championship. That's my next big goal for whether it be indoor or outdoor.
So cool, Dana. And I really love that you shared that in the pinnacle moments, not all of the moments were highlights. I mean, obviously it's huge to be able to get picked up and represent your country at the world level, but starting off and being one of the healthy scratches, I'm sure that could get some people down, but you showed resiliency and grit and were able to go up and actually make an impact moving forward. Can you share a little bit more about your mindset and how you go about always showing up for your team or end up being an impact player?
Yeah, you know what? It's tough. We've all been there. You don't come out of the gates just being the best player. I know people going to colleges. Yeah, you're the number one guy getting recruited, but then you go to a team and there's so many players that are your skill level or better, and you just kind of have to earn your spot. You have to be a great teammate, and that's what I had to do. I wasn't sulking by any means. I knew I was going to get my turn, and once my turn kind of came, I had to be ready and show them that I deserve to be there. So that's what I kind of did, and I know that happens for every level, even Bandits. I was the youngest guy on the team, getting drafted, obviously, as a 19-year-old, which is pretty young, and having to earn my stripes. There's so many older guys. I know this is another story about me. I got drafted as an offensive guy, and they put me out the back door, kind of a transition player for the first 3 years of my career. And I've always been like an offensive guy, so it was kind of different for me. And I knew eventually I'd maybe get back to the offensive door, but I had to earn my spot again. And it was tough at times, obviously, playing defense when you're not really a defensive player. You learn a lot, but I honestly have learned so much from that. It kind of makes you a better player. And if I could tell any kids, it would not be just one dimensional to try different things, because coaches look at players that can do more than one thing. And I think that's why I'm at the high level that I am. If I'm not the greatest at offense, I can still get put back to the defensive end and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. I can't thank my coaches again to putting me in those positions. And again, I obviously play for the Chaos, and I know I'm not the best player, but I have to. Everybody has a role, and you kind of accept your role, and you just can't be a bad teammate at the end of the day.
There's so much buy-in with that, and not being a bad player or bad teammate, but actually doing your role to the best. And you thank your coaches for putting you in those different situations so you can be multi-dimensional. But there's also a mindset that goes into it. Not everyone's willing to do that. So, Dane, I think that's why you continue to rise to the top, because you see opportunities. You see opportunities being a scratch player, and all of a sudden you keep on moving up. And I think that leads to the conversation about being a teammate, but also being a leader, because not all leaders necessarily are the captains. They're just people that do their roles. So I'd be interested to hear from you, Dane. What does leadership mean to you?
Yeah, it means a lot. You know what? I came into field lacrosse and box lacrosse kind of box lacrosse being younger and having so many veteran players and having to play with some of the greatest to ever play, which was really cool, and kind of learning how to be a leader. Even though I wasn't, again, like you said, a captain or assistant, I knew eventually I'd be at that stage. And now I'm assistant. I've been assistant for 4+ years, I believe, and kind of taking on that role of the younger guys coming in and teaching them that the ropes kind of type thing. And same with field lacrosse, obviously with Chaos. There's so many great players. You play at the top levels. Everybody's been captain or assistant or the best player on their team. You have to come in with open mindset. And again, I'm not a captain for Chaos, but I need to speak up when I need to. I need to be a great teammate, great leader, and everybody respects each other. And I think that's a big thing.
Now, can you elaborate a little bit more on respecting each other or speaking up when you need to speak up? Because I think that's something that is really important. And maybe if you could share an example of a time that you did speak up, I'd be interested to hear that. I know some younger guys could use that as inspiration.
Yeah, you know what? It's one of those things where for me, field lacrosse again wasn't my first sport. So coming into like a role with the Chaos, playing with the best to ever play. It was tough. Like I was quiet in the first few games, and then you start opening up and you start learning from players and hearing them speak and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, you want to grow as a player, and I think that's the next step. Is you can't be a quiet leader. You need to. I mean, you also could be a quiet leader as in lead by example, and I think that's what I did my first few years. I didn't speak much, but I when I was out on the field, I would give it 110% because I wanted to show them that I deserve to be there. I wanted respect from them. And this was my second year that I played for the Chaos in the bubble, and I took more of a speaking role. I taught guys that if we wanted to do something as in a play and stuff like that, I wouldn't be afraid to go to the coach and be like, this could work. I know you know a lot about this, but they kind of give you at the higher level, they kind of give you more free range, and I think that kind of helped us down the stretch. And being who you are, everybody, you come into a place and it's tough at times. Again, like they picked you for a reason, and you don't really understand it until you're kind of put in a position where you kind of get put in a role, but they don't want to change who you are. And I think that's kind of opened up as I got older, that don't be afraid to speak up if you have any opinions, because they all matter.
And I think that's probably relates to the confidence level as well. As we're young lacrosse players, young professionals, whatever it may be, we don't necessarily have that confidence to move forward and speak up at times or do a play that we think we could accomplish. But as you gain that confidence, you become more willing to. And as you mentioned, you were picked for a reason to play on these teams. They know that you brought something, whether you see it or not. And that's what coaches are great at, is seeing that potential in players. And it's really neat, Dhane, to hear what you share about that and how you're able to bring it forward as well. And I think it should be inspiring for the young players to actually be able to voice their opinions and find the right times to voice as well.
Exactly. And it's not a bad thing to ask questions at the end of the day. There's going to be guys that have been there longer than you or whatever, vice versa. No, there's no bad question at the end of the day. You rather go out there and be successful. And if you don't know, say, the play, then don't be afraid that you're the only person. I'm sure there's somebody else that doesn't know the play either. So it's one of those things that it is nerve-wracking at first, but once you kind of get it out of the way, it's a big thing.
I'm just thinking about coaching right now, and I know there's so many guys that don't know the plays, but no one's willing to step up and ask. And for you to say, hey, even at the highest level, some people don't know, and we're willing to ask is just huge.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, Dhane, I know we originally got connected because of Signature Lacrosse. I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about your relationship with Signature, and especially the whole line of I belong here, because it keeps on showing up in the conversation so far, and I know how important it is. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, definitely. I've been with Signature, I believe, for 2 or 3 years now, and they've been nothing but great to me. The company I was with before was Under Armour, and I wanted to branch off to a company that respected me as much as I respected them, in a sense where I always wanted to be different. I always wanted to be with a company that didn't have multiple players. I wanted to kind of be one of their guys, that they treat me how I should be treated almost. And I wanted to branch off and expand the company to the best of my ability, and tell them my ideas, and for them to listen and all that stuff. And I felt that with Signature, and they gave me a great opportunity, and I love their sticks, and obviously they have a lot of lacrosse balls, and that's definitely a bonus. I remember the first time I signed with them, everybody was like, "Isn't that just a lacrosse company, lacrosse ball company?" I was like, "Oh, well, they have sticks as well." And they're like, "Oh, like that's kind of weird or whatever, like it is what it is." And now to this day, all the guys are like, "Oh, we need some lacrosse balls." "Oh, you do now?" Like, that's funny, like all of a sudden. And it's pretty cool. Full circle kind of goes around. But I love the lacrosse sticks. I've used them for multiple years now, and They're awesome. I'm not too picky with sticks, but I found it very easy to play with. And then as far as the I Belong Here campaign, it kind of came across where I spoke up with the George Floyd incident happening. I kind of felt like it kind of kept me up at night. I didn't know. I'm kind of a shy guy. I don't like to speak up, but I felt like it was a great opportunity to speak up, and it wasn't for people to kind of think of me differently or get attention on me by any means. It was just to voice my opinion and show kids that that it happens to even me. Like I'm a pro athlete, but I went through what they kind of went through, and I had so much great feedback. So anyways, we ended up linking up with Signature, and they kind of reach out to me and they're like, we want to help you. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And they came to me and they're like, what would you like to do? Like, and we came across a clothing line that kind of spoke to a lot of people, and we had great feedback. I had a lot of people reaching out and buying stuff. And the best part about it is Signature is like, we don't want this to benefit us. We want it to benefit you, or stuff like that. So we found something that we could kind of give the money back to, and it was great. And I can't thank them enough, because that's pretty big. You don't see that with a lot of companies or people, and they're a great company, but even better people.
I think that's amazing to hear as well, just all that Signature does, but as well as giving you your voice and your agency to act in the ways that you want. You may say that you're quiet on the backside or you don't like to talk, but Dhane, you keep on showing us, and you've demonstrated through your life how you continue to speak up and rise, and there's conversations that need to be had. So we're grateful that you did come up and have Signature as a vehicle to share your voice and your mission. And thanks for sharing with us as well.
Yeah, no problem. And it's one of those things that it's definitely an uncomfortable conversation, but it's one thing that we have to have to kind of move forward. And if I could tell anybody, just kind of learn. I don't even know everything, and I want to get to know it as much as I possibly can, and have those uncomfortable conversations with others, because it's only going to grow and make this world a better place.
What comes up for me right now is just empathy. We can't possibly know what's going on in other people's lives, what they've been through, what their perspectives are, but we can definitely listen, and we can have conversations, and we can be willing to at least try to see things from their point of view, recognizing that it's still probably not possible. And I think that's what conversations ultimately do. And sports are pretty good at breaking down a lot of barriers, because you have a goal of winning at the end of the day, and you end up getting a lot of different guys or gals together. And it's neat how this movement has continued to progress, and how we see you a part of it. Right now, I know you said you have a mission of winning with the Bandits, but what other missions or goals do you have in your life currently?
So basically I'm 28 now, time has flown, and basically what I want to do after like lacrosse is coach. I do coaching here in Buffalo, whether go to, they have an awesome school program where we go around to schools. We kind of give them an assembly where we talk about lacrosse. Sometimes we talk about bullying and stuff like that. And it's not just about lacrosse, but the main focus is lacrosse, because Buffalo, you go to like inner city schools and they know nothing about it. And it's pretty cool to see. At first the kids like don't like it at all. They're like, what is this? We don't care, whatever. And like, I was the same age. I know what they're going through. It's assembly. We don't care. It's a free class. We can do whatever we want, kind of type thing. But as the kind of process goes through, they love it. They're jumping, they're playing, they're loving the sport, and it's really cool to see. So my next step for that is, and then also Bandits do a great job. They give us tickets to give to them so they can come to our games. So that's like that's really cool, whether they use them or not. But the next step is to kind of you see those kids that love the sport and are in tough homes and stuff like that. So we want to kind of be able to give them a stick and get a stick in their hand and see if they can kind of take that next step. Obviously, basketball, football, baseball, all those sports are pretty big in Buffalo, but we want to kind of see if we can have these programs in Buffalo where we can get again, get sticks in their hands, not just to kind of come practice with, but to go home and play with, because obviously everybody knows if you can't get better unless you have a stick in your hand and you're playing wall ball or doing all those things, playing in the backyard and stuff like that. So that's a big thing for me. And then I obviously do a lot of camps and clinics, and coaching is awesome. I love it. I love that you can kind of give the kids a hard time, but you can also laugh with them. And it's funny because I'm not a yeller by any means, but it's funny because it's like you goof around with them, and they kind of don't take you serious at first. Well, at first they think of you as a pro athlete, so it's awesome. But then you kind of goof around with them, and I'm not really strict with them. And then as soon as like the game comes and like they're fooling around, it's like, okay, like guys, if you don't want to play, like I cannot play you, and then they're all serious again. So I just love it. I love giving back, and my next step is to coach. I want to coach at that next level, and obviously I want to start with the younger guys and go from there.
Well, Dane, from everything that you've shared so far, I don't have any doubt that you'll be able to reach that next level, because you see that what that level is, and you're good at finding those footpaths and footholds to get there. So definitely good luck. And if there's anything we can do to help support you, please let us know.
Yep.
I would like to ask though, for the youth out in Arizona that does want to play lacrosse at that next level, I know you took the biggest jump just from going from high school and then going into the drafts, but what do you think is the biggest thing that the youth can focus on right now to ultimately play at the next level?
Yeah, you know what? It's not to be shy. Obviously, you see, there's many people like that have my story that took those steps. You probably don't see it and you don't hear about it, but there's definitely so many pro players that got to that level, not just by going to D1 schools or D2 schools or even D3 schools. Like there's people that went to community colleges and they took that next step. So you just have to believe in yourself, believe in the system. And I know my roommate, he went to, I believe, 3 community colleges before he went to his D1 school. So it's a grind. Yes, sometimes it seems like it's not realistic, but if you stick to the goals and if you really want it, you can definitely make it happen. And there's going to be coaches or scouts or somebody out there that sees you and sees the hard work and the respect and the leadership that you have, and they'll take a chance on you because they took a chance on me, and I'm hoping that they do that for you guys as well.
Awesome, Dane. Well, thanks for that optimistic boost and also the recommendations for the youth all around the country. I think that's big to not be shy and have some self-confidence, because that's what people are looking for. We know that people do belong together and that anyone can step on the field no matter where you come from. And there's people that will give you chances. And if there's anything that I can do, I'm sure, Dane, you do the same thing for anyone that's watching. Please reach out to us, and we want to help you on your journey. Dane, I can't thank you enough for taking the time today. Is there anything else that's on your mind that you want to make sure that you share with our community?
No, I mean, I think we pretty much nailed it. Like, just believe in yourself and believe in the process. And I know for myself, I went through a lot of things, and injuries was also one that we didn't really talk about, but I've had a lot of injuries throughout my career, and at times you think, why me? How are we going to bounce back and stuff like that? And you almost come back better. And if you just believe in yourself and people around you believe in you, and you'll be able to be successful.
I love that idea of the bounce back, because it's the peaks and the valleys that we have. You're going to go through tough times. You're going to find those lows. But on the other sides, if you find that resiliency, if you dig deep, you evaluate, you have that opportunity to show up stronger and stronger each and every time.
Definitely.
Again,
it's one of those things, again, people don't see it in their pro athletes. They don't know everybody's story, but everybody goes through it, and it might not seem that way, but you can go around and ask anybody and they have different stories, and it's pretty cool to listen to.
Well, next time, Dane, we'll have to have you share a little bit about that. But thank you so much for being on today. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, I appreciate having me.